Southern Fried Podcast News Desk, conservative and Christian news brought to you each Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be covering news that affects America and you. From politics nationally and to the state level, we will discuss topics that are breaking each week and get your input as well. Join us each week for news from a conservative and Christian outlook. God bless America and God bless you.
All right. Good evening, all. And to all, happy Sunday evening. The SFP News Desk. I'm your host, Dave, in the AM, and glad you could join us tonight. We're going to cover a little bit about the cabinet. We're going to give the outgoing cabinet some grades. We're going to talk about some of them. Most of them you know, some of them you might not know as much. We may not get to every one of them. And if we don't get to it tonight, next week we'll start looking at potential new um, cabinet members. It is very important. Hello, John. How you doing? Good to see you, Michael. All you folks that are in here, we appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the Southern Fried Podcast. Also, those on Instagram Live, thank you so much for being in the chat tonight and for watching the news desk. Well, just a couple of news items before we get started into that. Again, it was a long week. There's a lot going on, and there's still races being decided, right? The House is very close to falling Republican, very, very close. There's still those ongoing vote counts that are going on, and a few down ballot race runoffs and stuff that will happen, mostly on local level stuff that I know about, a couple of them anyway. But on the bigger level, I mean, it was we've kind of figured that the news would fall about all the behind the scenes stuff that was going on leading up to the election, and that's really beginning to happen. How much money that they poured into that Kamala poured into the campaign, how much money they paid entertainers to be there. Some of that information is coming out today. I think Oprah got $1 million to appear. They spent a boatload of money on that, Hello Daddy, podcast thing. All that sort of coming out today. There's a big move right now, some, kind of been talked about over the last week or so, but it's certainly in the last couple of days, the Sunday morning shows even covered it about them pressuring Joe Biden to step down and let Kamala assume the presidency, be the first woman. I don't think he'll do that. I just don't think he'll do that. There's also pressure on Sotomayor, Justice Sotomayor, to step down and let them appoint Kamala to the Supreme Court. Are you kidding me? Appointing her to the Supreme Court? My goodness. That's why I say this is an unusual time, but something funny I seen. I didn't get to see many games today, so I didn't see that. I'll have to go and look that up. Yeah, Don is an interesting man, and so we got 4 years of interesting things. Hello, The Thing. Hey there. How you doing? Like the name. It's good to have you in here tonight. Thank y'all. Follow us on YouTube if you have not. We're trying to bump our follows up a little bit. And just a words of note, I covered this morning a little bit. Rob will be back with me in the morning. He doesn't usually do the news show, but sometimes he pops in. I'm not going to say he won't. Never know. But he'll be back with me in the morning. They're resting up from the trip after the funeral and everything. So pray for him, his weariness and jet lag and whatever you want to say. But yeah, I want to look at the cabinet tonight, and it's interesting. It's sort of like those end of year things when you go out the end of the year, you look back over the previous year. They'll look at they'll do all these shows in December. They'll look at who is the hot music artist, what was the top shows, what was the biggest news items, and for us, we can look back and we can say, what happened over the last 40 years. I mean, it's soon to close. That chapter is going to close, and of course, those in the country, they're crying and think it's a horrible time, and they think the sun's not going to come up and stars are going to fall out of the skies. Either way it goes, those things are going to happen. But obviously, for conservatives and patriots and Christians, I would say, they're very happy with what happened in the election, and people turned out to vote Also, the electoral votes went more. He took every swing state, and so those bumped a little bit more as Arizona fell for the Donald. But when you look at this, Michael Cohen, not sure. So not sure on that, John. But when you get to the cabinet, there is a lot of. I put them on a card, and I'm going to pull those up and overlay here in just a second. There's actually two cards. I left two people off just for sake of time, and I don't think we'll get to them. If we need to, I can always go back and get their names. But the cabinet is deep. You've got your major cabinet positions, and you have your secondary. All of them are important, but some have a greater significance and are seen more. And some of these you may not recognize. Three or four of them you may. I'm not saying you won't, but you may not. Some of them are household names now. Some of them were before. As you look at names that they chose for their administration, such as will be for Donald Trump. But some of them became, in a bad way, they became names on the scene. And so you can give me your thoughts in the chat. He said he's ready to leave. Yeah. Okay. He said he's ready to leave. Awesome. But let's look at some of these, and I'll put them up, bring them back down. I'm going to do them as an overlay, so I'm going to be hidden just for a minute, but you'll hear me. And here's the first grouping that I put up, and of course it starts with Kamala because she is a part of that staff. She's the next in line. This is actually, I believe, your session from the president too, in case of things that happen. But because 3, 4, that's about right. I think that's the way I pulled it. A couple of them may have the middle section is actually behind the far right section. I just moved them to the middle. Of course, we'll take a couple of names here and then we'll bring it down and we'll come back up. Let's talk about number one, Kamala Harris, and I would think we would have to say that she gets an F. Now, what I'm looking at just as a vice president, she has to get an F. And to be fair, I know that vice presidents have traditionally been sort of hidden. They're there. Their only real duties is to go and represent for the president, to be to break ties and votes, to be there if the president has to go undergo a procedure and step in, and all those things, and really go around the world and be an ambassador of goodwill and take the president's wishes around the world and things like that. But sometimes, and it seems as though in the last few years, vice presidents have been given a little more duties to do. And of course, one of the biggest thing that we know that she was given to be is she hates the title. She hates it. Was asking people to quit saying it. Even Donald Trump talked about it. He said it, that she hated for them to say the borders are. But they made a big buildup about that as everybody was pouring over the border. They made a big buildup that she was now borders are. And of course, that really collapsed really quickly for her because, she never went to the border. And then they had to make this really quick trip to the border. You remember way back, when they did that. And she since has went back somewhat trying to campaign. But I'm talking about when that happened, just a visual. They didn't do anything. They didn't adopt anything. Hello, chick bait. They didn't do anything that they could have done. This has to fall on her. I mean, she was appointed as the borders are, as that person to get a handle on what was going on at the border and did not do so. So not to debate the right or the wrong of it. Tonight, I just want to look at the cabinet and give them grades. And for me, and you can please post in the chat, what do you think? Because you don't have to agree with me. I say F as a vice president because she was appointed to do that. This is the biggest thing that she was given to do. And by the way, the secondary thing she was given to do, she was sent overseas during some difficulties over there. Of course, the early buildup of Russia and Ukraine and all that, and she bungled some of the press conferences over there. She didn't know when to speak. She spoke out of turn. So even if you want to go that route, I just think that, and by the way, she's not the only vice president I would ever give an F to. There's others. There's some that I would give higher grades, but on this one, my grade for her in this is that she gets an F. So on this particular one, Kamala Harris as vice president, have to give an F, and we know it's an F because the country decided no, we don't want her, and they did everything they could to build her up to really buy the election, to be honest, and it did not work. And even Democratic strategists are saying in the last couple of days, you can't buy elections. Money, yes, money is used, but if your message is bad, you can't buy votes that way. They're not going to vote for you. You can pour as much money as you want. That's what they did. They thought surely on entertainment value, the hope and change person, and all that she would do that. So her ultimate grade is F, and I will stand on that. That her grade is absolutely an F. Now, when we go back to the list, and so I started with her because she is the next in line of succession. So that is a part of the staff. The vice president is a part of that. In those meetings, is privy to all those things. The next one on the list is Anthony Blinken. I could never care for this guy. I mean, he does play a pretty mean guitar, but the only problem was he was playing in Ukraine. I mean, they go over there. We got all this money. Here we are, got all these problems going on, and it's not the only problem he had. I mean, Blinken was out there on several fronts, whether it was the Iran issue, whether it was Ukraine, Russia, wherever he went, it just seemed like it was bungled. It just didn't seem to ever get settled. They tried to apply pressure in when they went over there and was the war in Israel and Gaza, or Israel waging war in Gaza. They were have not been successful to this day. They have not been successful to get U.S. hostages, picked up. I mean, so it's another failure in that role, and I definitely say that he gets an F. Hello, Lewis. Good to see you too as well. Appreciate everybody in there. And Kamala is about like Mondale. Well, just never got anything done. Well, we can do that. Just set it up with me. We'd be love to do that and have conversation. But yeah, chick bait. Just let me know. Get with me. But I never cared for Anthony Blinken. I just such hypocrisy to be standing over in Ukraine with all the frustrations we have about that whole situation and the little dictator over. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Zelensky. And could the guy get a regular suit? I mean, I'm diverting here for a second. He's always dressed in his military garb, and he really is a dictator. I mean, they have set aside elections over there. And this guy is taking over there. All the things they said about Trump, this guy's doing over there. I'm just not a fan of his. I'm not for the Ukrainian people being invaded and killed and all that. I'm totally against that. But it just seems that this thing has just went on and on and on, and we've done just enough to stay out of it, but yet be on the edge of dancing into war. And all they do is the Ukrainians just have their hands out as more and more and more. Where's all this money went? Where's the accounting of all the money, the military hardware? All we know is that they always need more. We never get, every once in a while, we'll get the HIMARS or something. We'll get some sort of report that, how effective it is in the battlefield, and it's helped the Ukrainians to hold on. But this thing's basically at a stalemate. And it's just a war of attrition. I mean, people are being picked up off the streets, forced into military service, taken to the front. The Russians as well. It's ugly on both sides. And Blinken, he definitely did not handle this well at all. I just am not a fan of Anthony Blinken. I give him a grade of F absolutely in this administration. So F for Kamala, F for Blinken. All right, Janet Yellen, the Secretary of the Treasury. Well, there's been a lot of work done in the economy, and inflation never got better. In fact, it got worse. I mean, all the things that they've done, and when you're the Secretary of Treasury and things are as bad as they are with the finances of America and stuff, even though they like to brag about, or they were bragging about job creation until that kind of bottomed out lately, but they didn't talk about what kind of jobs those were. Of course, we could go into the Department of Labor for that, but the Treasury, and I just did not like her policies at all as a financier and directing the finances of America. So, I don't know if it's safe to say an F, but I would definitely say in the D range. To be fair, there are some things I'm sure that she has done that held. We didn't completely collapse. A lot of people thought that there was going to be that. Of course, Kamala had no economic plan to speak of, and so it's another thing that's derailed her whole campaign. But I'm not saying she's not a bright lady, this Dr. Janet Yellen, but I wouldn't say that she's, I wouldn't have a problem with saying an F, but I'll be fair and say a D, D minus. I don't think that she got it done to the degree that it needed to be done. And maybe some of that's she's not able to do because you work at the discretion of the president. Remember, he said the buck stops here. So they all of these are, somewhat at the, have to go by what he says, but still, you still got a job to do and you didn't get it done. You got to stand your, um, you know, so Chick Bay says she had a solid economic plan, but and again, like I said, that's why I'm not going to say an F. I don't think that the whole thing was horrible. I just, again, we didn't have the economic full collapse that some people were saying was going to happen. So you have to give some credit. I'll just say a D, and I'll give it a D minus. But because it's where it's at right now, you can't go higher. You just can't, even though whatever the plan was. But yeah, I have seen the movie. Yes. Okay, I could go with D plus. I almost said it. I'd be okay with that. Like I said, it's a D. I don't think it's an F, but I do think now. Next one on the line here sounds like I was watching the movie The Godfather, and all the people are coming in to see The Godfather. They have to get online, get in line, get online as they say it. So we're going to get online. But anyway, yeah, she did lose. Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense. All right, I have to say complete F here. And there are many reasons why I would say this. And all we have to do is talk to some of our military service members and see how they mess with them about the vaccine and all that. And so he gets an F, but he gets an F for other reasons as well, because of things that he did. Namely, well, one, he again, his leadership was not great in this idea of conflicts around the globe. I mean, he made some odd decisions at times, and that rests right in his hands. But I will say this: the worst thing, I mean, how does a guy go on? How does he go for a medical procedure and be in the hospital and he's told no one? The administration got a huge egg on the face about this, and they went forward saying they would have a plan about how people would report, personal medical conditions. I mean, when you're the Secretary of Defense of the United States of America, and all of a sudden you're just not around, like you're just not around. Where are you at? And we got all these things going on, and the administration says they didn't know anything about it. I mean, how can you give the guy anything but an F? And I could give a couple of others here. I would bump their score up before I would ever move his, because of how he has done the military, and just ruined careers. I mean, and when you listen to them, when you listen to what they had to say, and this goes all the way to him, and how they treated them. It's horrible. I mean, we're talking about military heroes. We're talking about people that put their life on the line for this country. And Lloyd Austin, he should have been removed. He was not. This is a failure by the administration. He deserved to be removed, in my opinion. And it was just horrible. How he acted and reacted or didn't react. But mostly, we can say the one, it's up to your boss whether you stay on the job, I guess, if you don't, call in or whatever. But what he did to the American military, how he has destroyed the careers of countless individuals who stood their ground, and he denied their rights. And by the way, if you want to go see their stories, they're out there. They're actually recorded. A lot of them are recorded so that you could you can hear exactly the steps they took. They go into great detail. I can give you a podcast that covers a lot of them. In fact, that ex-military leader of that podcast is the signer of the 235 signatories that's out there that they're not going to forget about what's happened, and they're going to try to seek legal retribution against some of these people because of how the military was treated, and I stand with them. So Lloyd Austin and F. All right. Maybe the most cringe guy on this, cringe person on this list is Merrick Garland, and I just have never, this guy. If you go all the way back, he was put forth as a Supreme Court justice, and he was defeated, and so of course they were going to put him as Attorney General, and wreak havoc across the land. This guy, I could deal with some of these others a lot more than I can him. I'm not a fan of Merrick Garland at all, and to me, he should be. And I will say this: on this list right here, Lloyd Austin, and I'll say it. It's David Cordell. Lloyd Austin and Merrick Garland are to be in jail. I really do believe that. I believe they have trounced the Constitution. They have waged war against their American military and American citizens from their position, and I am no fan of them. Complete F. If there was a grade lower than F, I would give both these men a lower grade than F, and I say that they deserve to be in jail, and maybe we'll get justice one day, and they will. But yeah, I am not a fan at all of Merrick Garland. Again, if you go back and watch those days where he was, being put forth as a Supreme Court justice, and by the way, there were people that were mad that he wasn't, put forth and put in the Supreme Court, and so they. Again, I think they wanted revenge and on some folks, and they put him in a position to have that power. And I just won't answer a straight question. I mean, I just cannot stand listening to the guy. There's only one other person on it. Well, there's two other people that's going to be on this list that are right there with him, with these two, Lloyd Austin and Merrick Garland. I could even give Kamala a bigger pass than any of these. Except for the border, because a lot of that, the vice president has no authority. But she was given authority as the borders are and failed miserably. So these others, they have a job to do, and they have more leeway in their job to do things the vice president does not. And so Merrick Garland, sorry, bud, your days are numbered. I just hope they don't try to point this guy to any kind of position or anything on as he's out going. This guy needs to go, and all these people will be gone. But I'm not familiar with Deb Haaland, the Secretary of the Interior. I've seen her before. I mean, I was aware of her, but I'm not familiar with her, what she has done. There are some things that comes under the office of the Secretary of the Interior that I'm not happy about, and so that would go to her job. But they have refused. They have used that department, the Secretary of Interior, to limit some things within the United States, especially when you're talking about energy and some other things. So we might dive into that a little deeper later. I would say, just given what I know, maybe you give her a C, but it could be as low as a D. I want to go look up a couple of things to see how much her office played a role in some certain things. So as of right now, I'll say a C. Tom Fasilak, Secretary of Agriculture. Other than, I don't know of anything specific other than I don't like that the Chinese are buying up all the American farmland. And so maybe, I don't know if that falls under his office or not, but I definitely do not think that, he deserves a failing grade right now, but Biden was the thing in the movie. So I like that. So hold on, let me message someone here real quick. But yeah, Tom Vasilak, and then Gina Raimondo, Secretary of Commerce. Anything to do with money, I mean, but yeah, Secretary of Commerce, Gina, don't know much about her. It's probably the one I know the least on here, to be honest. And so we'll just, right now, we'll give those that I'm not familiar. I mean, nobody gets a high grade because this administration failed. So we'll give her a C for right now, and I'm going to dig in a little bit deeper in some of these offices we don't know as much. Julie Su, the acting Secretary of Labor. Again, they like to brag about the labor numbers, but I think those numbers were fuzzy math on some of that. A lot of people were working 2 and 3 jobs, but we won't give her a failing rate either. And then the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Xavier Becerra, he was also called before Congress to testify, and his answers were pretty poor, and some things that he was doing as well because of the vaccine. You get an F, buddy, for that alone. And then Adrian Todman, the deputy secretary, and this is really a mouthful of a title here. This I don't even know what she does, to be honest. I'm not familiar with that office, so right now no grade because I want to look that up a little bit more. Um, but let's get on down to old Pete. Old Pete, and we're going to take a quick break and let me get a refill. But just a quick break, couple commercials. But Pete Buttigieg, oh my gosh. You know what? This is another one that I just can't stand on here. And this guy, uh, I mean, he must think he talks at us like we're all stupid. And some of the things that he put forth, I mean, we know that he utterly failed in his position. Utterly failed. I mean, he's part of the big three of fail here: Lloyd Austin, Merrick Garland, and Pete Buttigieg. Utter failure. And when he said that the reason we don't have good bridges and roads is racism, uh, dude, you should have stepped down that day. I mean, this guy is fake. He put on fake scenes where he acted like he biked across the city and all that. It was utter fake. I mean, I just can't stand this guy either. I cannot wait for him to be gone. He has failed in every way you could fail in his job. Those three should not have their job right now. They should have already been fired. And as I said, for two of them in jail, Pete just should have been fired. He just needs to go home to San Francisco, live his life out however he chooses. That's his decision. But I cannot. This guy needs to go. He absolutely needs to go now. And I wish that he would just go ahead and resign. Of course, he won't do it. But he's horrible. Hello, Crispy. How you doing? I'm checking chat as I can, folks. And again, I'm not in here. I don't have any help in here. So other than people saying hey, but yes, Colt, I sure did. I was not under a rock. Thank you. I know you see you're laughing. I did. Welcome from California. And hey, Colt, could you just take Pete Buttigieg back home? Could you bring him back home? We just need him to go ahead and be gone. I mean, he's an utter failure in his job. Can we just go ahead and send him home? We need you to do that. I mean, if you could just get him on a plane, a one-way ticket back to San Francisco, and have him stay there and not let him leave again, I think that would be great. I think that would be awesome. I'm sorry, my dog is barking. I've got kids here and she doesn't do well, or we've had a visitor or something. So let me take a quick break and shut my door, which somebody didn't shut. And I'm sorry for the noise because they know better and now they're hollering at the dog. So we're just getting louder. So we'll be right back if I can get to the video.
Hey, this is Dave with the Southern Fried Podcast. You know, one of the favorite things that we do is sit out on the front porch with a glass of sweet tea and just talk about whatever. That's what you do on the front porch. Wave at the neighbors as they go by, or even a stranger. We're friendly people, and we like to just talk about whatever. You never know what Rob and Dave are going to talk about on the front porch, and sometimes Chris joins us, and then you really don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll laugh a little bit, we'll shock each other, and maybe, just maybe, you'll join in with us and chat with us on the front porch. Join us live for Front Porch Talking each Friday night. Hey, this is Dave with the Southern Fried Podcast. Please join us each Wednesday evening as we go live for Hump Day News, where we talk about a little bit of everything. We'll laugh a little bit. We'll tell you a little bit of sports news and other news that's going on. Each Wednesday evening at 7 p.m., join us for the SFP Hump Day News live. Your midweek making your way through another work week. Join us, and we'll try to make you laugh a little bit and keep your day a little brighter. Here at the Southern Fried Podcast, one of the blessed things we've been able to do is partner with the wonderful people at Animal Rescue Alliance, Inc., ARA. These folks are a no-kill shelter in Donaldsonville, Georgia. You see the contact info on the screen. And these folks would love to have you come adopt a dog or a cat. They have folks that come from all over the United States, not just the state of Georgia. They're great folks. It's been a wonderful partnership between Southern Fried Podcast and ARA. And we've been blessed to meet some of the folks that have adopted animals from ARA. Also, we've been able to encourage people to donate and volunteer. They encourage volunteers that are in the area, and they're just wonderful people. We'd love for you to contact them, meet them too, go on their website, see some of the animals, and we know you'll want to partner with them too by taking a dog or a cat to their forever home. Join with us, the Southern Fried Podcast, in support of this great work of the Animal Rescue Alliance, Inc., ARA. We know you'll be happy you did. I know we are.
All right, I'm back. Apologize for that. Had some folks show up, and the dog did not like that, so but they apologize. So be in new studios here within a few weeks, and we won't have to worry about that anymore. Thanks for everybody being in the stream tonight. We appreciate everybody on YouTube. Give us a follow there. We're trying to boost those follows up on YouTube. It's the one that we're working on the most. Everything else seems to be fine, but YouTube is the struggle. There's always struggles of life. Thank you, though, for being in here from Facebook and X and also Twitch. Thank you for that. Thank you for all the comments and some of the folks, some new folks, and folks that continue to come in. Thanks for being in here. All right, let's go to page 2 on this because I don't want to miss this and run out of time. Because again, next week I definitely want to get into potential cabinet positions for the president. We know that one's already been filled. There's many rumors about others. Some have already said they won't serve, and they're not looking to do anything like that. But let's get to slide 2, and you won't know of many of these, but I do want to highlight one of them. This is the rest of the rest here. And again, you may not know these, but right in the middle of that page, Alejandro Mayorkas. Wow, what a guy. You see the Secretary of Homeland Security. Well, he has been ordered to testify, and but he was evasive in his answers. He refused to answer some questions. The guy just had a real evasive attitude about anything he's done, and really not just evasive. Actually had a cockiness about him. And they took steps to try to remove him. Of course, that got blocked. And I remember even, hey, Brother Cook, good to see you. And everybody else, Devani and everybody else is coming in here. Appreciate it. But when I was at Marjorie Taylor Greene's town hall, one of our town halls she has down here, of course, everybody knows her, 14th District of Georgia, which I reside in. She really, they were getting ready to go back into session, and she was certainly after him about some things about sealing up. But Rob doesn't do this show, Crispy, very rare. Plus, he's traveling back from a funeral today, and he's tired. He did send me a picture. I don't know the context of the picture about a guy with a book. I'm assuming it's the writer of the book. He will share that in the morning, I'm sure, but I don't know if he's listening in. But he may pop in here. You never know. But Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, sorry, bud, you get a failing grade. The rest of these not familiar with them very much at all, except for being Michael Reagan, and he'll be gone. All these will be gone. I mean, it's a new administration, and so you have different offices. They're important offices. I mean, you got the Secretary of Veteran Affairs. That's a very important one. Secretary of Energy. Well, we got to give an F there because of what you allowed to happen with the energy. And Cardona, he also testified, and as Secretary of Education, I was familiar with him. Big Fail was not as familiar with the Chief of Staff, and William Burns, of course, the CIA director. Again, F's mostly across the board for most of these people. A couple of them we gave possibly a D or maybe even a low C, but we just see that that happening with this staff. It's an utter failure. Of course, it starts at the top. And so, yeah, Biden did fail, and his team of married men and women here failed as well. And so it's going to be a new day, and we'll need to see what happens as we go forward. But yeah, the staff, and there's other positions. You get on down. There's all sorts of things that get filled, but this is the major ones. These are the major staff members. I think it's 15 or 16, 16 counting the president. I think vice president. I mean, and so when you see these filled, now what we'll do is we go in the next show or two. We'll start looking at and filling these cards up with the current, who's going to replace on January 20th, who is already in that spot. We've already had the one. So I heard about it. I did hear about the Biden beach walk. I didn't see it. And yes, I would always say it is pitiful. I do not laugh at people that have medical problems or health problems or whatever. And I've said for some time it's sad that we live in a world where it's fallen sin nature, that people relish in trying to tear down people. I'm not about tearing down anybody, but there's just great differences of opinion about what I would like to see in my president and of course for my nation. And of course the guiding principle of that is the Constitution. It's not what Dave says; it's what the Constitution says. And but again, I'm just a guy. I am not an expert on any of these. I'm just giving my opinion. It is all right. Be nice in the chat now. I don't want to have to. I don't have a mod tonight, so I'm sort of doing mods as well. So let's not. If we're playing still, though, we've dealt with that before. Let's be nice and respectful to each other in the chat. So we are family friendly and we're not going to attack people, but. Y'all can have debate. I have no problem with that. But when we start telling people to shut up and stuff, that's enough for me. So one warning, and we'll just move on. But again, this is the staff, and this is yeah. Thank you for that. Well, we're all friendly, and sometimes even friendly. We have to remind each other of stuff. So you have to. Sometimes you just remind people of what it is. We do have people of all ages that pop into our chat, and we want to keep that nice for all. Hey, Cook, appreciate, yes, amen. That's right, please. Pretty please. We're being nice. But yeah, let's if you have ideas for who you'd like to see as a cabinet member, there's a lot of decisions out there. Think about a Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, the Department of Education, all these important positions. They all have importance. Every one of them is important. Some just we hear about more because of how much that they're how much they have to do with the everyday life in America. And it's interesting. It's interesting to watch these things play out. And I've said, I think that Donald Trump did a poor job at his staff selections last time. Most of them, some of them were great, but most of them were poor. And I believe he's learned his lesson. I believe they've been vetting the whole time, and they're not surprised. They're not scrambling right now trying to figure out. They already know who they want. And I would think most of them would do that. I'm not saying he's the only one. But being the second term, you're more used to it. With the first term, it's so crazy, and there's a lot of things you don't know. And every president has to learn. That's what staffs are there for, to show you the rules and how things work, and to show how those things go. You watch any assembly, and there's always those experts that are going around. The experts are the ones that say you can or can't do that. They have to reference back to the rules of order and what is written down and what is the order of things, and those things have to be followed. We saw that when they were voting on the Speaker of the House. And there were times that people spoke out of order, and then you would see the people quietly come up and speak in their ear and tell them, you can't do it this way. You have to, things they have to do. There's a lot to remember. I mean, these people get elected. They've not done this their whole life. They don't have a clue. And so, do I have cats? Sometimes I look over. No, I do not have cats. I do not. Rob has cats. Rob has 4. Yes, chick bait, we do need lower prices on groceries. I don't know if you've seen our quick video that we did in the Walmart, just kind of goofing off. But the lady said she didn't believe they were going to go down. So I said, I hope you're wrong. Yeah, chick bait has cats. Yeah, not childless. But we see, the administration will start to take a hold. I've seen now, Biden has said that it is said that he's going to go into the meeting with Trump with an agenda. And wouldn't you know it, the number one thing that is rumored to be on that agenda is that he wants the president to keep up the pressure on Russia and of course support Ukraine. Who knows what'll be talked about in there? I mean, you can be civil and just totally disagree, but yeah, I know that there is some battles coming because he has very different opinions about some stuff, and some of that he has sort of kind of talked about, but much of it we don't know. And deportation is going to happen for some, and how many I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many, but the media is going to look try to make this like it's a Holocaust or something. But he's simply removing non-citizens from the country and people that are bad people. They're criminals, and I say get them out of here. I don't want to feed them and water them, and even the ones that's locked up in jail, send them back home, let them have them, and just keep them out. So if there's a debt to pay here, we let them pay their debt, then send them back. That's what they get. So, but we can have them do that and have them pay for it. But there'll be executive orders on the first day in office. President Biden signed a lot, so the power of the pen. There'll be a lot of executive orders signed the very first day, and the border will be one of those. So we will see. Yes, it will be expensive, but he's committed to do it, and he has said it's going to be expensive, but we have to do it. So you are correct in that it will be expensive, but he's going to do it. And so he ran on that, and he said he was going to do that, and he will do that. Now, again, I don't think it'll be to the numbers that some people think, but there'll at least be a showing of that. He'll get some of those out of there, and there's going to be a lot going on. You look at the foreign policy. What is, he's already reaching out. They've already, we've already seen all the things that happened. Hamas has already tapped down some stuff. There's, offices that have been closed. I mean, there's Russia's pulled, kind of played nice in the last, week or so. I mean, they know what this means. They know that on January 20th that it's a new day. There's a new sheriff in town, and things are going to happen. So yeah. So we see that. Netanyahu also confirms that Israel had a role in the beeper attack. He says a role. He doesn't take, but he did. We figured it was from them. They never had said that these beepers were, that they were set up, that they're the ones that was behind this to set up the beepers to explode. But he now says that. Trump tells Abbas that he will work to end the Gaza war. U.S. to Qatar expel Hamas after hostage deal rejection. Again, we've got American citizens that are still hostages over there. And where are they being held? What condition are they in? Are they even alive? We don't know. These are things we need to find out. And I think you could be seeing a lot of this over that. Biden and Trump will meet at the White House Wednesday, this Wednesday. Republicans, again, top of the news here, on the brink of clinching the U.S. House. Let's see, Elon tweets Newsmax, map of no voter ID states wins. Republican Crane wins the second term in Arizona. And then, of course, Trump officially wins Nevada, all 7 swing states. By the way, RFK Jr. is going to have a central role. We know that. Let's see here. He's reviewing resumes for Trump health jobs. DOJ set to give security clearance for Trump team. FBI executives shell-shocked over Trump victory. You better be, because a lot of you are going to lose your job. I mean, that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose your job. And he's going to clean house in the FBI. I would say there, I would be willing to bet that the director of the Secret Service is terminated. It's utter failures that happened there. He's really been supportive of He's been supportive of the Secret Service. So he knows the great job that many of them do, but he got firsthand knowledge of how bad they were, and so we're going to see that happen definitely. I wonder. I still haven't seen people leaving the country. Have anybody seen any planes leaving with the celebrities? I'm just really kind of joking. I never expected that anyway. Let's see here. Any other news here that I want to review before we close for tonight? Trump looks forward to previous appellate appointments in case of any Supreme Court retirements, he says. So he did a great job, and of course they hate him for it on the left, but he did a great job. Let's see. Anything else here? Nothing really jumps off the. I will say I saw a couple of memes. One of them was Trump working at McDonald's, and he says, "I'm sorry, I can't work anymore. I got another job." I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, a lot of people don't like Tom Hanks for many reasons. I've kept up with some of that when I can. So yeah. There's going to be, what about, and there was hundreds of hours uncovered by the military of Hamas torturing everyday Palestinians. That needs to be spread and showed. These people are living in fear, and that's when some people say, well, every one of them supports what they're doing. There are many who do, but I'm going to tell you, it's just like Saddam Hussein's Iraq. They fear the next knock at the door. They fear that because if you step out of turn, in fact, some people were trying to get the food that was dropped, and they were shot for it and beaten for it because Hamas wanted to get all that for themselves. So, really, really bad, really bad. Somebody mentioned Diddy. They're trying to put together a $50 million bail package. I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah. Bad things, and how many people are implicated in that? Nobody knows, but the names are supposed to be staggering. Staggering about the number and the, how well known they are. So it's staggering. What's happened was staggering, horrible, and egregious. Things that were going on in those things. So some people were forced into things. I'm sure there's some underage stuff that happened, unfortunately. Who knows what was happening, There's a lot of evil out there that's being uncovered. There's still things that need to be uncovered about Epstein's Island. We may never know the whole story, but these people need to go to jail. And honestly, only she has. Seriously? There's a lot of people need to go to jail. But, rich and powerful, being rich and powerful, trying to hold off. No, John, easy. But we have to, we need justice, and I would say that. So yeah. So I didn't get to see the morning shows. I was in church. I didn't get to see the morning shows that were going on for the politics. So I was really busy all day. So didn't get to see that. But yeah, that's kind of the news is where it's at. We'll go into Monday. Start a new week, and we'll see what the news cycles have to say tomorrow. Of course, they're still going to be crying over the election loss. She's going. These people that think she should be promoted and losing it's ridiculous. She should not be promoted, and it's just time to let this thing go down the line and where it needs to go. And but yeah. Well, all right, folks. If that's all I got right now. And been a long day. We'll see you in the morning. If you're on the morning show, most of you probably don't make the morning show, but yeah, appreciate you coming in. Appreciate everybody being here. Quite a bit of people, and me and Rob will be rested up, ready to go this week. We got a lot of programming to do, so appreciate you joining the Southern Fried Podcast. We do a lot of different kinds of shows. This is just one. We've got other shows in development that are on the way, and a few surprises for you. So hopefully stay with us, and we'll catch up with you, Chick Bait and Cook and everybody else this week several times, I'm sure. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of Southern Fried. And if you go over to Facebook and join the Cornbread Nation, we have the Southern Fried Podcast Facebook home. We also have the Cornbread Nation. Go join that and be a breadhead, just an honorary breadhead. Goodbye, Colt. You still got some time out there in California to get some rest. Enjoy your evening. Good night, Lewis. I don't know if you're having to drive tonight or not, but y'all have a great night. God bless. We'll see you next time. Set the outro here, and actually would be that one. All right. Salute.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast.